Good morning. Welcome to Simply Remarkable. Happy Fantastic Friday. I'm so excited about our topic today. It's called Unleashing Innovation in an Uncertain World. I am ready to learn all about this. Let's go. Greetings to our live audience joining us here today, coming to us from LinkedIn, X, YouTube, Facebook, and now Instagram. We look forward to this weekly conversation so that you can get to know our featured speaker personally, as we do, and that you can join in the conversation with us. So the chat line is open, ready for you. Send us your questions, your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Now, today's featured guest is the International Innovation and Creative Keynote Speaker, Bill Stainton. He is a TEDx speaker with over 450,000 views on that TEDx. You won't want to miss finding that all about that. And he's a 29-time Emmy Award winner. He is one of the top keynote speakers for corporations and associations that want their people to produce better results under pressure with breakthrough ideas on demand. And he also makes sure that we keep laughing as we do that. Welcome, Bill. We're so glad to have you here today. Thanks for joining us. Now, I know you travel a lot.
You're very welcome. I do, but man, there is no better way to begin a Friday than having a great conversation with you.
Oh, wow, that's so great. I love all that you're doing. Where are you coming to us from today?
I'm home for a bit. I've been on the road most of the week, but I'm home in Seattle. So it's pretty early for me, but that's all right. I tend to be an early riser anyway. And then I'm out on the road. I'm looking at my calendar up there. I'm back on the road again, starting on Monday.
Hey, look, today's show is from the East Coast to the West Coast. Thank you so much for getting up early to join us.
You're very welcome.
And our broadcast director, Lisa, in the back, she's in outside of Phoenix. So we're all around here today.
We've got it all covered.
We got it covered. Now, Bill, we know this time goes by fast, so let's just jump in. Now, Bill, tell us, how did you crack the code on transforming innovation that, of course, we know now is a company's most potent asset? Now, you've cracked some code and you're telling people about it. How did you do that?
Well, I think it started, Sue, that but the viewers may not know, that for 15 years, I produced what turned out to be the longest running, highest rated, and most award-winning regional comedy TV show in the United States. Our job literally was to be innovative every single week on demand, whether we felt like it or not. What I realize now is that I thought I was producing a TV show, which is true. But what I was really doing was running a 15-year-long innovation lab, because we got to experiment every single week and learn, this works, this doesn't work, this can work better. We learn how to, again, as I say, innovate on demand, because you can't, especially in today's fast-moving world and world of uncertainty. My goodness, have we ever faced more uncertainty than this? Not in my lifetime, certainly. In a world of uncertainty, you can't wait for inspiration to strike to be innovative. You've got to be able to innovate on demand. And so that's what I learned in kind of a weird roundabout way by producing this comedy show, which was a hit. We were on, like I say, for 15 years. We were on Comedy Central for 2.5 years. And over that time, you learn what works and what doesn't work. And that's what I try and pass on to my audiences and my clients, that, look, this isn't some magical gift that's only given to the gifted few. This is something that you already have. This is a skill that you already know. And more importantly, that your people already know. That's why I call it unleashing innovation, not, inventing it, unleashing it. It's already there. Your job as a leader is to unleash it, to let it out, to tap into that amazing potential that you've already got within your teams. And once you do that, man, it's amazing the results that you can see pouring in. Once you learn how to do that, that's my job as a keynote speaker, to show, first of all, show people that they are innovative, that their people are innovative, and here's how to start unleashing it and unlocking it. So that's basically what I do. But it all came back from that comedy show.
Wow. And I'm in a small world here with my little show, but this is our third season, so I can understand that totally, because we just went from week to week saying, okay,
Right.
We asked people, what do you think?
And also what people see here. I mean, you've got Lisa behind the scenes making this all work and look pretty, and you're doing all this. You and I both know that you're doing this show every week, just like I was producing a show every week. And what everybody sees looks great and bright and shiny and wonderful. You and I both know that behind the scenes, things go wrong. The tech doesn't work. The talent doesn't show up. Things happen. It's the same thing in the quote unquote real world. A business owner, they need to do the business for their clients. Their clients don't care what's happening behind the scenes. They just want results. Ultimately, it comes down to the results. You've got to be able to produce those results. You and I have to produce a show every week, no matter what's happening. And that's the same in the world of business also. You've got to produce those results. Your clients, your customers don't really care what's happening. I use this analogy. Let's say you pay $300 to go see Hamilton on Broadway. That's probably a cheap ticket for Hamilton on Broadway. You don't care that the actor playing King George just had a fight with his significant other an hour before the curtain raised. It's not our job to care. His job is to produce those results on demand. And that's what innovation on demand is all about. Being able to pivot, being able to, no matter what life throws at us. Again, we're dealing with very uncertain times. We don't know what tomorrow is going to look like, much less a year from tomorrow or 5 years from tomorrow. So how do you plan for that? Well, you plan for that by building the skill, the ability to pivot, the ability to innovate on demand so that you can see the opportunities where everybody else only sees chaos and challenge. I call innovation the master key. It's the key that will unlock any, like a master key that can unlock any door.
It's one of the questions I have for you. What is that master key?
The master key is innovation, the ability to take any situation, no matter what it is, because we don't know what's going to be coming. But to know that you've got that master key, that no matter what life throws at you, you can turn that key and unlock the opportunity that's there, because the opportunity is always there. The opportunity is always there. And when you have that master key, when you and your team have that master key and you know it, man, there's a feeling of invincibility. There's a feeling of future-proofing. It's future-proofing your business. It doesn't matter what the future brings you. You've got that master key so that, let me put it this way. My TV show was on the air for 15 years. The first 2, 3, 4, even 5 years, if something went wrong the day before a show, we were in a panic mode. It's like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Fast forward to the last 5 years of the show, something went wrong and we're like, oh, come on, bring it on. Bring it on. I mean, we've seen everything we've done, bring it. This is where we shine. When all of a sudden it looks like things are falling apart, bring it on. Can you imagine as a business right now to have that feeling of, oh yeah, things are in turmoil? Yeah, bring it on. Because our competitors are cowering. This is where we shine. And innovation is the master key to having that attitude. Knowing that you've got that skill in your back pocket. It changes everything, everything.
And that's the key that you have shown to people so that you make this look easy,
Right.
engaging, entertaining, fun. Are we having fun?
Yeah.
With this? Because that's key to a team. That's key to a leader. And that's key to a business owner.
It
Because
is.
with all the challenges, there is an option. You might just want to run away and quit.
Look, and we all.
But that's not an option because you're showing us that's not the option. Many are taking that option, and I don't want them to. I don't want to take that option. I don't even see that as an option.
Right.
So how can you help us know that we've got that? We've got that key. What does it take?
Well, first of all, look, when the bad stuff happens, we all have a moment of, I call it the Homer Simpson moment. When something bad happens, we all have that moment. We're like, oh, I wish this hadn't happened. That's just human nature. We're human beings. Things go wrong, and we're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Here's the difference. Here's the difference between the innovators and the non-innovators. The non-innovators stop there. When they have that Homer Simpson moment, then they stop.
Mm-hmm.
And they whine about it, they complain about it, and they hope somebody else is going to fix it. The innovator does just one other thing, just one thing that the non-innovators don't do. They have their Homer Simpson moments. Things go wrong in their lives also, and they go, oh, but then they ask a question. That's the one extra step. They ask a question, and the question is this: how can this be better? So instead of just whining about it, just hoping, wishing it hadn't happened, they look at it and go like, okay, how can this be better? That's the first step, Sue. It's a mindset shift from just, oh, this is terrible, let's hope somebody else fixes it, to, hey, let's be the one to fix it. Here's something that's not the way I want it. It's a roadblock. It's a brick wall. It's an obstacle. It's a challenge. Okay. Now, what do we do about it? That's it. Just that one little step. Now, what do we do about it? How can this be better? All of a sudden, you're in a different mindset. See, here, you touched on this about making it easy. This just drives me crazy. Innovation is not that difficult. It's not that hard. It's much easier than people think it is. Because most people don't even know what innovation is. They think that if you're not inventing the iPhone, then you're not an innovator. If you're not developing the rocket ship to Mars, you're not an innovator. If you're not a genius, if you don't have an Einstein level IQ, you can't be an innovator. And that's because it's those innovators who do those that get all the press. But innovation isn't just inventing the iPhone or the rocket ship to Mars. Innovation can be as simple as, taking a ketchup bottle, turning it upside down, making it out of plastic. So now we can squeeze ketchup. Okay, that solves a problem. At its core, innovation is all it is solving problems. That's all it is. And people overcomplicate it. When I do my keynotes, there's an activity I do. It's a fun activity. It's just loads of laughter and everything, because innovation and humor are actually pretty much two sides of the same coin. So there's a lot of laughter. But what I see on people's faces when they're doing it is it's invariably, you see people going like, wait a minute, this is innovation? Well, I can do this, because they didn't even think that was innovation. It's not that hard. It's my job to let them know it's not that hard. I don't have to teach them how to innovate. I just have to show them, look, this is all it is. They go, oh, okay, I can do that. And it unlocks everything. It unleashes everything. People start to think of themselves as innovators. Because that's one thing I found. Most of us don't think of ourselves as innovators. We think of innovators as the other guys, the other people, the geniuses, the Steve Jobs, the woman who invented Spanx, those people, the others. It's not us. It's the others. It's my job to let you know that no, it's all of us. To help people think of themselves as innovators. Because we all are, or at least we all can be.
This is so true because my mother used to tell me I could complicate a 2-car funeral. But, and I think today, in today's world, we have made things so complicated and it's just spinning around it so fast. People don't know who they are or what they're doing. So
Right,
that's what
right,
you,
right.
I can see coming in to help leaders, because we know the next buzzword besides innovation is we've got to find some way to be unique and have a competitive advantage in today's world.
Right.
And I think what you've taught me and what I've listened to is that innovation is not as hard as we think. And that's the key. That's the key here. So
Yeah.
tell us some examples of how you've seen companies create a unique competitive advantage using innovation.
Well, there are all kinds of ways, and again, a lot of them don't get the headlines.
Okay.
It's the big ones that get the headline. The big world-changing innovations. And look, there's nothing wrong with world-changing innovations.
Right.
Like if you've got the cure for cancer in your back pocket, go for it. But it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that. There are all kinds of little ways that people have innovated. I'll give you one example that we all know of, but we may not know how it happened. We all know IKEA. You've been to IKEA, I'm sure. We've all been to IKEA at one point. I've got some IKEA furniture still in my house. The big breakthrough with IKEA was that one of their workers was loading a table and the leg broke off. And so he thought, oh shoot. Okay, well that's a problem. That's a little tiny Homer Simpson moment. Oh, the leg broke off. He thought, okay, how am I going to pack this now? So what he did was he took all the legs off and was able to pack it. And all of a sudden that led to an idea. Wait a minute, what if this makes it so much easier to pack if everything is flat? If we disassemble everything, it makes it easier to pack. And one thing led to another, and all of a sudden that led to IKEA thinking, well, let's just disassemble everything and let other people assemble it. And now there's all kinds of punchlines about how easy or hard it might be to assemble IKEA furniture. But it's something that most of us can do. But that innovation stemmed from a problem. Something went wrong, and instead of just complaining about it, how can this be better? Again, that's really all it is. How can this be better? The filet of fish, McDonald's filet of fish. It happened because there was one franchise owner. I can't place his name. I want to say maybe in Cleveland or Cincinnati or some town that begins with a C, perhaps. And what was happening was that sales were going down on Friday because there was a large Catholic population. And the Catholic population, at least back then when it was more stringent, did not eat meat on Fridays. And so sales were going down. Every other franchisee, this is back in the fairly early days of McDonald's, but every other franchisee just thought, well, that's just the way it is. We just, our business is going to go down on Friday. Well, this person thought, well, what if we had an alternative? So he thought, okay, well, here's just a fish patty and some tartar sauce. And let's just try that. Now, Ray Kroc, who was alive at the time and running McDonald's, he had a different idea. His idea was a bun with a slice of pineapple and some cheese. That was his idea. So they made a bet. Okay, let's put them both on the menu on a Friday and see what happens. Well, the pineapple burger sold, I think, something like 8. And the filet of fish sold 350. So it became a staple, a menu staple. And it's because somebody saw a problem and thought of it as an opportunity. What's the opportunity here? How can this be better? The problem is we're not selling as much on Fridays because the Catholic population doesn't eat meat on Fridays. Okay, what can we do about that? How can it be better? Let's not just accept it the way it is. Let's come up with something. Let's have an idea. That's all innovation really is. as you go through life, here's my challenge to everybody watching this. As you go through your day today, at some point, something's going to bug you. Maybe just a little inconvenience. Maybe it's like, oh, I have to reach for that pot that I use every day. I've got to, okay. Just stop and think, how can this be better? What if I make this the new home base for this particular pot or pan or something? That's how it starts, Sue. It's that easy. Seeing a problem and just going like, oh, how can we fix this? What can we do about that? So that's where it starts. It's the mindset shift. And look, it can get more complicated. There's more to it than that, but that's where it starts. It starts with that mindset shift of, oh, this is innovation? Like moving that pot from here to here, that's innovation? Yes, because it's creating something new that solves a problem. The new thing is, oh, the pot now lives here and it solves a problem. That's innovation. Something new that solves a problem. That's
yay.
You don't have to have an engineering degree from Stanford.
And how do leaders? Now, I look at this too from our leadership standpoint and building teams.
Yes.
You've got to be able to listen to those ideas, right? Even
Yeah.
if it's not your own. How do you get leaders to have that mindset shift to say, oh, someone else besides me could have the ideas?
And that is a mindset shift. We have this myth that the loudest voice is the best voice. Yeah, we've all been in those meetings. I was guilty of it myself. For a few years, I was the president of a local chapter of a nonprofit organization. And I had a board, my board of directors, about 8 people on the board. And one of them just really wasn't pulling her weight, but that's okay. You know, you get any group of people, there's going to be some dead weight. And she just wasn't, Deborah, she just wasn't a contributor. It's like, okay, well, I've got 7 other people who, are, pulling their weight. And she's just, okay, very nice person, but just doesn't really contribute to the meetings, just really isn't doing anything. So then my presidency ended. The next president was coming in and they were asking me, so, what do I need to do? Or what do I need to know? I said, well, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, don't expect much from Deborah. She's not really, much of a team person. This person turned out knew Deborah very well. Said, are you kidding me? She's one of the most brilliant marketing minds I've ever met in my life. She's just an introvert. She's just very shy. Well, shame on me. Because that was my job to bring that out. That wasn't her job. But, at that time, at least, I tended to be the loud person. And I listened to the loud people won. And too often today, Sue, the loud people still win. And loud doesn't mean correct. The good ideas can come from anyone. And once a leader realizes that the good ideas can come from anyone, everything can shift. Here in Seattle, we've got 2 landmarks, 2 places every tourist, every visitor wants to visit. The first one is the Space Needle. The second one is Pike Place Market. Everybody wants to visit the market, which is a real nuisance to people like me who live here because the parking there is terrible. We have to, no, I want to go see the
Probably
market.
So. I can understand that. Yep.
Yeah.
Another Nashville.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the market's a cool place. There's lots of vendors and craftspeople and restaurants and fishmongers and things like that. Well, some years ago, one of these fishmongers, one of the fish vendors, they were in serious financial trouble. They just weren't cutting it. There were other fish vendors in the market. There still are. And this one fish market or fish vendor was facing bankruptcy. Like literally, they were this close to bankruptcy. And so they call an emergency meeting of their little team. And they start asking the typical questions that we would all ask in that situation. How can we avoid bankruptcy? How can we get more customers? What if we put the fish on sale? The typical questions that we would all ask. And they were getting the typical answers. And none of those were moving the needle. You ask obvious questions, you get obvious answers. Okay, that doesn't move the needle. But then one of their employees, and this is absolutely true, it was a part-timer, 16-year-old kid, a 16-year-old part-timer. Now, Sue, you and I both know that 16-year-olds do not have good ideas. 16-year-olds are stupid.
I think they do.
Yeah, but they don't have good ideas. I mean, I've been a 16-year-old. So this is, there's no need to listen to the 16-year-old kid, the 16-year-old part-timer. No need to listen to them because they can't possibly have a good idea, right? But they're facing bankruptcy, desperate times. So, okay, remember, they're all asking questions like, what if we put the fish on sale? This 16-year-old kid asked a different question. He asked, how can we become world famous? I mean, they're asking, how can we put the fish? What if we put the fish on sale? He's talking about, how can we become world famous? Are you kidding? World famous? But by asking that different question, that reframed the whole conversation. I mean, that's a whole different level of question. And that's another thing. When you ask a different question, you open up new possibilities. So they started thinking about that. And Sue, I'll tell you, the reason most people want to go to that market is because of that question that 16-year-old kid asked, because they came up with an idea. What if we start throwing the fish?
Yeah.
And you've probably seen the videos. The fish guys, they throw the fish. That built a huge training empire. It started off with a book, fish. It started with a training video. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that fish market now, that fish vendor, multi millions of dollars a year. They staved off bankruptcy, all because a 16-year-old kid asked a different question. Now, most leaders would just ignore the 16-year-old kid.
Right.
Most leaders would ignore the 16-year-old kid. The 16-year-old kid asked what I call the $1 million question. See, here's the, you'll never get $1 million answer by asking $5 questions. A $5 question is, what if we put the fish on sale? $1 million question, how can we become world famous? And that came from a 16-year-old kid.
And it's world famous. And the idea, I've talked to the people. So this is so fascinating to share today, because people out there I know got ideas right here. They are getting their heads on saying, okay, let's ask these questions, because that's where it starts.
Right. It
Asking the questions, and it has to be the right ones, and you have to listen to everybody. So thank you for sharing this, because I think it's given us the idea of what you bring to the audiences and to event planners out there. Look, this is amazing, because it works. It works. Now we got to go. We're going to have you back, because people will want to know more, but we're going to have you back as
anytime.
This. But in closing, what are you going to do today to be remarkable? Now, look, this guy has it. What are you going to do today to be remarkable?
One thing I'm doing today, because I've got the day off. I mean, I'm still working. I've got a new book coming out, so I'm having a meeting with the layout editor.
You had a new book coming out. Everybody be watching for this.
Yep, called Innovation Unleashed. So that's gonna be coming out. But I also just went out yesterday and bought a hummingbird feeder, so I'm gonna hang the hummingbird feeder. And to me, that's a little bit, again, doesn't have to be huge. That's a little change that's going to make a difference, not just in my life, but in the lives of a whole lot of hummingbirds, a whole lot of hungry hummingbirds. So
that's right. And they're fascinating to watch.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's like jewelry that flies around.
I know. I love that. You are so right. You are so right. I love them. Mine's fixing to go out this weekend too. So I said, okay.
Awesome. Love that.
Now, thank you so much for being with us here today. And to our audiences, what are you going to do today to be remarkable? Did you hear anything, a question, anything today from Bill that you need to do? I did. I am sitting here. I will be able to go back, as you will be able to go back and see the rebroadcast, so we won't miss anything, because we have a wealth of resource right here about how you can be world famous if that's what you want to be. I just, am always thrilled that I can see every week that we can bring something to you. And you can bring something to your events next by having Bill there. Let me just tell you, he rocks the room. And we also want to hear from our audience today what you're going to do to be remarkable. Leave it in the comments or give us a comment, because we'd like to know, is this show impacting you at all? We want to know. We're asking you to tell us. Now, Bill, we wish for you a remarkable rest of 2025 and much success in helping see that innovation is not rocket science, that questions start to have solutions, and that innovation is the solution. So thank you for making this easy, fun, entertaining, because it is. And leaders out there, you need to have an innovative mindset, because it is a shift. And thank you for sharing how we can begin to have that. Now, let me ask you, event planners out there, or people that are looking for a speaker. Are you looking for a speaker who from experience, he showed you how he learned how this works, can show leaders and teams how to develop award-winning success? Because that's what we're looking for today in this uncertain time. It's still possible. Bill has told us today it's possible, and we're gonna see that. Well, Bill is your perfect choice for your next speaker. Give us a call today. We've got the number on the line, and remember, he books quickly, so please get in touch with us quickly. And we hope you'll join us back here next Friday. Can you believe, Bill, it will be June? I don't know where May went. I just don't. But I'm glad that, hey, we're going to face a new month. It's going to be great. It's going to be warmer here. We haven't had that big warmth yet. And our speaker next week on June 6th is going to be one of the top 10 most in-demand speakers who creates an experience of a lifetime, John Gucci Foley. He's a worldwide keynote speaker, TEDx speaker, retired commander in the U.S. Navy, and a Navy aviator. He's a former lead solo pilot with the elite U.S. Navy Blue Angels. And remember, he was the top pilot in the original Top Gun movie, so you won't want to miss. He brings an entertainment for us and an attitude that says, I love this. Glad to be here. And if we can think of that, I am glad to be here with you today, Bill. And I think we will go away that we'll be glad to be here, even in the uncertain times that we're going through.
Yeah. And
so
don't miss John. Don't miss John next week. He is fabulous. He's a great guy. He's a fabulous speaker.
And make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, because there you get the episodes notified to you. And also you can go back and get all the ones just like Bill's today. It will be on there this afternoon so that you can experience that. Now, you know, Bill, I've said always, I love what I get to do every day. I do. And out there, event planners, let's be remarkable together. I'd love to work with you. And remember today to continue to pray and support those who are still recovering of the devastating effects of the Hurricane Helene, Milton, and the California fires, especially here in Western North Carolina. It's going to be a long-term recovery for all these people. We can't forget them, even though the news has. We can't forget them. So I want to urge you that we're not going to do that. And I want you to have a remarkable spring weekend. Maybe you need to get with your hummingbirds or do something fun out there so that your innovation continues on. Thank you, Bill. This was a wonderful time, and I'll see everybody next week. Thanks, Bill.